After our disagreement, my daughter prepared some coffee for me. Dad, have this as a gesture of making amends. It had an odd flavor. 10 minutes later, I sensed something was amiss. You will not believe what unfolded afterward. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel and comment below with the current time and your location. I was in my home office examining annual budget summaries when Jason entered without knocking. That should have alerted me right away. Lauren trailed closely behind him, her face tense and worried in a manner that tightened my gut. Jason held a beige envelope as if it contained treasure. He scattered documents over my desk, jabbing at figures with his finger, speaking rapidly about assured profits and entry-level investments. His aftershave overwhelmed the confined area. Hubert, this is a rare chance. $50,000 secures our spot at the base level. 8 months from now, we could see 40% returns, possibly higher. I shut the envelope and pushed it back. My eyeglasses came off gradually, with purpose. The discussion was over. I have encountered such assurances previously. The response is no. Jason remained still. Instead, he rested against my desk, his side digging into the corner, encroaching on the territory I had established in this home I constructed myself 25 years earlier. We handle all the chores here, the lawn, the repairs, ensuring you have proper meals. This place, in truth, belongs to us already except on paper. The statement struck me like freezing rain. I rose, my seat scraping the wooden floor. This is my home. I built it. I financed it. And you both have resided here without rent for 3 years. Lauren's palm struck the desk. Not fully aggressive, but forceful enough to shake the light fixture. Her complexion reddened from her collar to her scalp. You have always been this way, tracking every dollar, accumulating everything. We are your kin, not some welfare recipients. I provided you with $40,000 last year. You exhausted it in 5 months and never explained the expenditures. That is unfair. We faced costs. You failed to grasp the strain we endure. But I did grasp it. I grasped that my daughter had transformed into someone unfamiliar, and the man she wed had hastened that shift. Jason's palm shifted to Lauren's lower spine, directing, steering her to the exit. The action was ownership-like, causing my flesh to prickle. Mom always claimed you valued that company over us. I suppose wealth is all you truly cherished. She would feel disgrace at the person you have turned into. I maintained my tone calm, firm. Your mother would never utter that, and you are aware. They departed as a pair. Jason glanced rearward once, his look indecipherable, and then they vanished. The residence fell into quietude around me. That evening, I wandered the spaces, contacting objects. Rebecca's picture on the shelf, her grin preserved eternally. The railing I fitted personally, polishing it until the timber gleamed like crystal. Books on racks, their bindings worn from use. Each item represented a fragment of my existence, proof of what I had created, what I risked forfeiting. Rest evaded me. I reclined in bed, gazing at the overhead fan, observing shades circle in the gloom. Dawn broke chilly and overcast. I detected Lauren's steps in the corridor before her visage emerged in my entryway. Her eyes appeared swollen, inflamed. She had either wept or masterfully simulated it. Dad, may I enter? I could not slumber last night. I uttered dreadful words, things I did not intend. You appeared to intend them then. She advanced into the chamber, twisting her fingers. I was overwhelmed. Jason lost another deal, and I simply vented on you. That was unjust. I positioned myself against the bed frame, scrutinizing her expression. She seemed youthful abruptly, resembling the child who once delivered coffee to me in bed on weekend mornings at age 12. Lauren, we must discuss last night, about Jason's words. Please, Dad, allow me to compensate. I prepared your preferred coffee, exactly as you prefer. 3 sugars, a dash of milk. View it as a truce token. She escorted me downstairs to the kitchen, where a mug awaited on a modest platter with a serviette neatly placed nearby. The ritual felt intentional, meaningful. She presented it with both palms, and I accepted, our gazes connecting above the edge. Sip it. It is cooling. I cradled the heated pottery, sensing its mass. A portion of me recognized caution. A portion yearned to trust my daughter, lingered somewhere beneath the urgency and bitterness. I sampled it. There is no need for pardon. I falsified. Lauren grinned. It failed to touch her eyes. She occupied herself cleaning surfaces, arranging the drying rack. But her actions were abrupt, uneasy. She repeatedly eyed the oven timer. I withdrew to the family room with the periodical, attempting to concentrate on titles that smeared into insignificant forms. 30 minutes elapsed. Then the space slanted laterally, as if the dwelling had turned into a vessel on waves. Sickness surged in my throat. Scorching and persistent, the periodical escaped my grasp. I attempted to rise, but my limbs resembled liquid. I clutched the chair support and failed. My sight constricting to a passage. The telephone. I required the telephone. It rested on the end table, impossibly distant. I plunged ahead, dropped to my knees, crept the final distance. My digits were awkward, swollen, but I succeeded in unlocking the display and dialing the digits. 911. What is your crisis? My tongue swelled. The terms emerged garbled. Remote. I have been tainted. I believe I require assistance. Sir. I require your location. Can you inform me of your whereabouts? 5320 Oakwood Lane, Chicago. The device fell from my hold. Obscurity dragged me under like submerging. My final notion before awareness escaped. Lauren, what have you committed? Noise arrived initially, a constant chiming, automated and demanding, then feeling something synthetic in my nostrils, a sting in my right arm, linens that seemed stiff and unknown. My mouth savored like metal and compounds. I unveiled my eyes to pale ceiling panels and glaring lights that rendered all too vivid, too acute. My skull pounded with every pulse. A caregiver materialized in my side view, her uniform adorned with small animated dogs. She beamed upon noticing my gaze. Mr. Hubert, can you perceive me? Compress my hand if you perceive me. I compressed. My clasp seemed feeble. Where am I? You are at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. You arrived via emergency vehicle last night. How do you sense? My skull. All is hazy. What transpired? She inspected displays, recorded on a device. The physician will clarify all. I will inform him you are conscious. Time extended in odd, flexible intervals. I inspected the drip in my limb, the wires fastened to my torso, striving to assemble how I reached here. Then recollection surged back like frigid liquid. The coffee, Lauren's expression observing me consume, the space whirling, the call. Dr. Anderson appeared with a device, his demeanor grave in a fashion that accelerated my rhythm on the screen. He drew a seat near my bed and seated heavily. Mr. Hubert, we must discuss what occurred to you. He rotated the device so I could view the display. Figures, graphs, health terms that signified nothing to me. His marker indicated particular amounts. Your lab results returned with alarming discoveries. I must inquire straightforwardly. Did you consume any relaxants yesterday? Rest aids, stress relief? No. I avoid such things. Merely cholesterol medication. That aligns with my suspicion. He tapped the display. Observe this figure here that is 4 times the healing amount. Mr. Hubert, your labs indicate elevated amounts of benzodiazepines and diphenhydramine. Someone inserted these into something you ingested. The terms lingered between us. I heard them, comprehended them singly, but collectively they shaped something improbable. Diphen. What does that imply? It implies this was no mishap. The blend, the quantity, this was purposeful. Mr. Hubert, this was attempted tainting. My fists gripped the bed covering. I shut my eyes and envisioned Lauren presenting the coffee. Her grin that missed her eyes, the manner she monitored the timer. My mandible stiffened until my molars pained. That is impossible. Who would? But I knew. Doctor. Anderson perceived it in my expression. Do you know who might have performed this? His tone was soft yet resolute. Facility rules mandate reporting suspected taintings. I paused. The terms lodged in my throat. How do you convey to an outsider that your own offspring attempted to terminate you, doctor? Anderson interpreted my quietude like text. Kin, he inquired softly. I nodded slightly. I am obligated to report this. Attempted tainting is a grave offense. Wait. Can you grant me some period I need to be utterly sure before allegations? Mr. Hubert. Someone endeavored to end you. I know. But if I err about who, I need to reason lucidly. Please. 48 hours. He examined me for an extended instant, then scrolled through displays on his device. I am noting all. The schedule, the labs, this dialogue. If you alter your decision, or if anything further occurs, he left the warning incomplete. You are fortunate you dialed emergency when you did. Another 20 minutes at your age with your cholesterol. You comprehend my meaning. I comprehended I was meant to be deceased. He departed, leaving me solitary with that awareness. I gazed at the ceiling, tallying panels, digesting what had happened. My daughter, my sole offspring. She had attempted to conclude my existence for what the residents' payout funds. Because Jason persuaded her it was the resolution to their issues. The fury that ascended in me was not warm. It was frigid, analytical, keen as medical blade. Later that day, Lauren rushed through the entrance like a storm of feeling. She hastened to my bedside, seized my hand in both hers, pressed it to her face. Tears flowed down her cheeks. Dad, I arrived as soon as I learned. Are you all right? What did the physician state? I permitted my hand to remain slack in her clasp. Spoke gradually with intervals like I was bewildered and fatigued. Lauren, I am fine. Just puzzled about what happened. You fainted. I discovered you and dialed emergency. Well, the rescuers were already present, but I was terrified. Jason positioned behind her, palms on her shoulders, but his eyes scanned my face, the screens on the wall, the records at the bed's base. Hubert, did the physicians determine the cause? Was it your pills? We must know to prevent recurrence. They are still conducting examinations. Something I consumed, perhaps, or an adverse response. But they must have some notion. Did they reference your circulation? I observed his expression as I replied, No, nothing certain. Just require repose. Lauren compressed my hand firmer. When I referenced something I consumed or imbibed, her clasp constricted unwittingly, just for a moment. Jason's gaze shifted to Lauren briefly. I noted both responses, stored them. This is my responsibility. If I had not become agitated yesterday, if we had not disputed, the tension likely initiated this. It is not your responsibility. The falsehood tasted like dust, but it is. I uttered horrible things. I have been an awful daughter. Can you pardon me? There is nothing to pardon. Jason inclined a head. Well, the vital matter is you are fine now. You will return home shortly, and we will attend to you. The stress on those final terms caused my flesh to creep. Yes, home shortly. We will ensure you are at ease. Whatever you require, I value that. Both of you. They lingered another 30 minutes, Lauren enacting her sorrow and relief, Jason portraying the backing spouse. When they eventually departed, I straightened immediately. My frailty had been a performance. I retrieved my phone, accessed my memo application, and typed swiftly. Lauren. Handshake. Moist palms when I mentioned nourishment. Jot beverage. Jason inquiring queries about assessment. Both noticeably eased when I asserted bewilderment. They do not know what I know. The caregiver returned to verify my signs. I requested my device. That night, I did not rest. I sought estate lawyers in Chicago, perusing evaluations meticulously. I required someone assertive, exhaustive, someone expert in estate disputes. The term armament persisted in my thoughts. I was not seeking a lawyer. I was seeking an armament. Lauren and Jason believed they could conclude my narrative. They viewed me as merely a barrier between them and my possessions. They endeavored to erase me. Instead, they had forged something much more perilous. A man with nothing remaining to forfeit and everything to demonstrate. They desired to engage in this contest. I would engage superior, not with fury or sorrow, but with frigid, systematic accuracy. They endeavored to conclude my life. I was going to disassemble theirs, element by element, until only repercussions lingered. The screens chimed steadily in the obscurity. A pulse, a timer. The pursuit was imminent. The release caregiver wheeled me to the facility entrance while Lauren fluttered like an anxious sparrow, posing queries about drug timetables and subsequent visits. I enacted my role flawlessly, progressing slowly, clasping the wheelchair supports, allowing confusion to veil my face when she inquired if I grasped the directions. Jason fetched his vehicle around. I observed his hand quivering mildly on the wheel. The journey home was dense with unvoiced strain. Lauren operated my vehicle with Jason trailing in his vehicle, inspecting the mirror every several moments to capture my look. I gazed out the pane, observing Chicago glide by, but my mind computed. Tomorrow morning, I had a meeting in the city center. Dad, are you comfortable there? Should I modify the cooling? I am fine, just weary. Jason's voice emerged from the front seat. Cautiously informal. The physicians truly did not specify the cause. Just a response, something similar. Cannot recall all the health terms. Lauren's reply came too swiftly. The essential thing is, you are fine now. Home appeared identical. My residence constructed with my designs. Funded by my labor. Lauren had readied my sleeping chamber. Fresh bedding. Blooms on the bedside. A liquid container with moisture forming on the surface. The act persisted. She demanded I repose, delivered midday meal on a platter with a folded serviette. Jason verified twice, his grin not fully reaching his eyes. I expressed gratitude with suitable debility, observed them exit. Through the shut portal, I heard their tones downstairs, subdued, pressing. Could not discern terms, but the pitch conveyed volumes. Dread, unease, estimation. I awaited until dawn. Lauren departed for her property firm at 9. Jason drove away 15 minutes later for his alleged commerce gatherings. I observed from my pain until both automobiles vanished. Waited 10 more minutes. Then I proceeded to my vehicle with none of yesterday's reluctance, my form responding with the vigor I had concealed. Central Chicago traffic was navigable at this time. Reynolds and partners occupied the 9th floor of a steel structure near the Judicial Building. The assistant guided me through paneled hallways lined with legal volumes and mounted credentials. Susan Reynolds' workspace smelled like hide and aged documents. She was 60, silver-haired, keen-eyed. She heeded my tale without disruption. The dispute, the coffee, the tainting, the facility diagnosis. Lauren and Jason's evident worry concealing their horror. When I concluded, she placed down her marker and examined me. Mr. Hubert, what you describe is attempted homicide. Have you submitted a law enforcement report? No. I desire fairness, not merely penalty. I want them to forfeit everything they endeavored to pilfer. That is a distinct form of fairness. It demands endurance, strategy. I possess endurance, and I possess something they lack. Time to strategize correctly. Susan detailed Illinois estate regulations with medical accuracy. No compelled inheritance for grown offspring. Total testamentary liberty. I could exclude Lauren wholly. Bequeath all to benevolence if I selected. But we would require records. Proof. She pushed a contact card across her workspace. Michael Turner, retired investigator, now independent detective. Finest in Chicago for this type of task. His workspace was less refined. Practical furnishings, storage units, computing gear. Michael Turner was 50, seasoned, skeptical in the manner officers and detectives grow after witnessing excessive human vileness. You believe your daughter endeavored to terminate you for legacy. I do not believe. I know. He did not recoil. Monetary history inspections are not inexpensive. We are examining 3, perhaps 4,000 for thorough analysis. Whatever the expense, I need to know all. Most individuals in your circumstance just desire sufficient for separation court or civil matters. You are constructing something larger. I am constructing an impenetrable case. When I act, I want no inquiries unresolved. I supplied him names, birth dates, identification numbers, the payment account I had endorsed years prior. He projected 3 weeks for the complete overview. Whatever they conceal, I will uncover. I halted at the facility archives section on my route home. 300 pages recording my near demise, poison studies, doctor notations, test values. Dr. Anderson's evaluation was blunt. Deliberate tainting with benzodiazepines and antihistamines in amounts aligned with intentional delivery. I produced 4 copies, 1 for Susan, 1 for Michael, 1 for my secure vault. 3 days later, a protection firm vehicle arrived. Lauren was at employment, Jason was absent. The specialist was youthful, capable, expert. This is quite extensive for a domestic property. I reside with relatives. I want to ensure my dwelling is safe when I am in my chamber. The recorders were compact, subtle, expert quality. Family room, cooking area, eating space, all lawful in Illinois. My asset, shared zones only. I evaluated each perspective on my device, modified placements, verified sound clarity, ideal. That evening, I reclined in bed overseeing the stream. Jason strode the cooking area, hand striking the surface. Lauren sat at the eating table, face in her palms. I could not hear all distinctly, but pieces transmitted. If he suspects, too delayed now. We require those funds. Each term affirmed what I already knew. 12 days after engaging him, Michael phoned. His tone was even. Expert. Hubert. The figures are graver than you likely envisioned. Total obligation is nearing 250,000. I retrieved a notepad. Detail it. Jason has 100,000 in commerce loans from unsuccessful enterprises, 52,000 in payment card obligation, 41,000 owed to independent creditors at 20% interest. Lauren has 36,000 in payment cards. Monthly obligations surpass their joint earnings by about 5,000. How are they managing minimal payments? They are not. 4 accounts are overdue. They are rotating payment cards to settle payment cards. Typical debt cycle. Transmit me all. Every record. Every origin. The monetary summary arrived by protected message that night. I dispersed the sheets across my workspace, highlighting main amounts. 100,000, 52,000, 20% interest. The figures narrated a tale of urgency, of submerging, of individuals who perceived me not as a parent, but as a remedy to dilemmas they had generated themselves. They had not endeavored to terminate me from animosity. They had endeavored to terminate me from requirement. To them, I was more valuable deceased than living. The residence appraised at 900,000. My reserves, my holdings. Deceased. I symbolized rescue. Alive. I was merely a hindrance. I sensed something frigid and solid settle in my chest. Not heartbreak. That necessitated an unbroken heart. This was something different. Clarity, objective, determination. Lauren rapped on my portal around 10. Dad, do you require anything? Can I fetch you supper? I am fine, dear. Just reposing. You have been here all day. Are you certain you feel all right? Just need silence. The facility was draining, reluctance in her tone. Okay, but if you require anything whatsoever, I know where to locate you. After she departed, I accessed my proof folders, health records documenting the tainting, monetary summaries displaying their urgency, monitoring footage capturing their alarm, legal papers from Susan outlining my privileges. I arranged all systematically, duplicated to remote storage, generated backup copies. I was no longer the sufferer. I was something else now, something enduring and tactical and hazardous in ways they could not fathom. They had desired to compete for my legacy, to remove the barriers between them and monetary relief. They had no notion what they had truly forged. A man who endured their worst, who knew their secrets, who possessed all the elements they thought they had arranged in their favor. Tomorrow I would alter my testament, and then I would demonstrate what fairness truly resembled. Susan Reynolds's meeting room felt suitably official. Oak table, hide seats, legal volumes covering the walls. I sat at the front, flanked by unknowns, whose neutrality would confirm my ability. Anna Lee, the certifier, verified her materials. Thomas Reed and Karen Lopez, expert observers engaged through Susan's firm, examined their function. Neither recognized me, which was exactly the intent. Susan positioned 4 identical papers on the table, each secured with green covers. Mr. Hubert, do you comprehend that this paper excludes your daughter entirely? I comprehend fully. That is my clear purpose. And you are making this choice of your own volition, without pressure or improper sway. Wholly my own choice based on situations detailed in the appended note. She recited the primary clauses aloud for the archive. Her tone was firm, expert, but I heard the importance in each term. I, Hubert, being of healthy mind and form, do hereby cancel all prior testaments and codicils. I bequeath my whole legacy, including my dwelling at 5320 Oakwood Lane. Chicago, Illinois, and all monetary holdings to the Midwest Veterans Assistance Organization. Then the crucial supplement. I deliberately and purposefully make no allowance for my daughter Lauren Thompson for reasons detailed in the appended note. The note was 4 pages. Medical, thorough, ruinous. The dispute about funds. The coffee Lauren demanded I consume. The hospitalization. The poison study showing purposeful tainting with benzodiazepines and antihistamines. My logical conviction that Lauren and Jason endeavored to conclude my life for monetary benefit. Health records attached, dates, times, facts. Anna Lee executed her confirmation. Mr. Hubert, I need to verify your identity and mental capability. Do you understand what paper you are endorsing? Yes. It is my final testament and will, revoking all previous ones. My legacy goes to the Midwest Veterans Assistance Organization. Are you under any drug that might hinder your discernment? No. I am entirely clear-headed. I endorsed each duplicate slowly, intentionally. My mark was steady, no shake, no pause. Anna applied her certifier stamp. Thomas and Karen endorsed as observers, affirming my clear behavior. Susan's firm recorder captured all. Standard process, but also extra proof I would need subsequently. 3 days passed. I attended what I informed Lauren was a subsequent physician's visit. Actually, I met Michael Turner to examine monitoring footage. When I returned home midday, I had correspondence and papers in hand. I entered through the main portal, proceeded to the cooking area, and placed everything on the surface, including the testament folder positioned with the law firm emblem visible, edge exposed beneath other sheets. Not concealed, not overlooked, arranged. I withdrew to my sleeping chamber and awaited. Lauren arrived home 90 minutes later. I heard her automobile, her steps, the cooler opening, standard pattern, then quietude, the type that precedes revelation. Through my monitoring stream, I observed her near the surface, reach for liquid, notice the papers, pause. Her palm lingered over the law firm emblem. She glanced toward the steps, checking for me, then lifted the folder. She perused, standing. I watched her face lose hue, watched her other palm rise to her lips, watched her legs weaken. She grasped the surface for support. She retrieved her device. Her digits trembled so severely she had to attempt thrice to access it. Jason, return home immediately. 30 minutes later, his vehicle screeched into the driveway. He entered through the main portal, still in his coat, moving swiftly. Lauren thrust the testament at him. He perused standing, turning sheets rapidly, then slowing at the note. His mandible tightened. He placed the paper down with excessive caution, like it might explode. Their tones were low, pressing. I could not discern terms through my sleeping chamber portal, but I did not need to. The monitoring system captured all. The rap came 15 minutes later. Controlled, expert, not hostile, not shy. I opened the portal. Jason stood there, and I saw the instant he registered the change in me. No weakness, no bewilderment, just even eyes and erect stance. Hubert, we need to converse. Lauren discovered something troubling. A testament. There must be some error. There is no error. That is my new testament. Properly performed and submitted. He attempted logic first. They were kin. They cared for me. This benevolence did not even recognize me. When that failed, his pitch changed. You are making choices that impact everyone in this residence. Choices based on what facility confusion, drug effects. I am making choices based on being tainted. The poison report was very clear. Benzodiazepines and antihistamines do not appear spontaneously in coffee. His facade fractured. You cannot prove anything. You are an elderly man with health issues making claims. Lauren appeared behind him, tears flowing. Dad, how could you think we would harm you? Because you did, and now you will gain nothing from it. Jason advanced aggressively now, his digit jabbed toward my torso without contact. We will challenge this testament. We will prove you are not capable. We will get physicians to attest. You are suspicious, illusory. I did not shift, attempt it. I have proof you do not know about. I have records you cannot envision. And I have time. Lauren dropped to her knees on the corridor rug. Literally palms joined, dramatic and urgent. We owe 200,000. Without legacy, we will lose all. Please. The figure lingered in the air. Confirmation. She knew I knew. You should have considered that before you endeavored to terminate me for it. If you would just assist us one more time, I am finished assisting. I am finished being your remedy. I am finished being your sufferer. Jason pulled her up harshly. We will challenge it. We will litigate. We will make your life wretched. I nearly perished. You already made my life wretched. Now it is my turn. You are a spiteful elderly man. I am a man who survived attempted homicide. Exit my chamber. Lauren tried one more plea. So that is it. Years of being your daughter and you just sever me. Years of being your father and you just endeavored to conclude my life. Yes, that is it. Jason's palm clamped on her limb. Come on. He is not worth it. I stepped back. Hand on the doorknob. No, Jason. I am worth exactly 900,000, and you will never see a cent of it. I closed the portal, stood there, listening to Jason's steps storming down the stairs, Lauren's weeping, following. The main portal slammed. Through my pain, I watched Jason's vehicle speed away, wheels screeching on pavement. Lauren left 15 minutes later. The residents settled into quietude. I returned to my workspace, accessed the monitoring footage on my machine, their faces when perusing the testament. Jason's warnings, Lauren's collapse, her implicit admission about the obligation, all recorded, timed, duplicated to remote storage. I downloaded the files, sent copies to Susan and Michael. Proof, records, evidence. First blow delivered. Not impulsive, not sentimental, calculated, tactical, frigid. They wanted to battle. I would give them a battle on my terms with my advantages. They had endeavored to eliminate me for funds. Now they would watch that funds vanish. Unreachable, beyond their urgent grasp. Outside. Twilight settled over Chicago. The residence was mine again. Silent and motionless. Tomorrow I would contact Susan about removal proceedings. If they could not pay market rate lease, they would have to depart. But tonight, I simply sat in the silence they had endeavored to make eternal, and I planned my next action. Michael Turner's call arrived on a Wednesday morning while I was examining monitoring footage from the prior night. His tone had that cautious pitch detectives use when delivering unfavorable news. Hubert, we have an issue. Jason has been meeting with a therapist named Robert Klein. I set down my coffee. Therapist for what, not counseling. Klein has a notoriety. He provides assessments for whoever compensates. I think Jason is trying to get you declared incapable. The tactic was evident immediately. Invalidate the testament by claiming I was not mentally able when I endorsed it. Intelligent, unprincipled, but intelligent. Can he do that? He can attempt, with a convenient assessment. They could petition for oversight. Challenge your testament based on mental disability. I drove to Michael's workspace within 90 minutes. He had spread monitoring images across his workspace like proof at hearing. Jason entering Klein's structure, sitting in the waiting zone, leaving with sheets. Michael had pulled Klein's background, lost clinic rights 4 years ago after claims of providing convenient impairment assessments for coverage scams. He is basically an assessment for hire, Michael explained. Through my home monitoring system, I had been noticing other signs. Lauren had visited Linda Johnson next door thrice in the past week. Through the recorders, I had seen them conversing on Linda's veranda. Lauren gesturing, Linda looking concerned. They were building a narrative. The confused elderly man, the worried daughter. I phoned Susan Reynolds from Michael's workspace. I need a comprehensive mental evaluation, the most thorough one available. Preemptive records. She said immediately. Smart. I will refer you to Dr. Elizabeth Grant, certified forensic expert. Dr. Grant's workspace was in the health district, all neutral hues and abstract designs. She was 63, silver-haired, doubtful in the way good therapists are. Mr. Hubert, why are you seeking this evaluation? I want documentation that I am of sound mind. My daughter is likely to claim otherwise. That is unusual. Most people in your situation avoid evaluation. Most people have not endured what I have endured. I want the truth documented before lies can take root. The evaluation took 4 sessions over 10 days. Cognitive testing, drawing clock faces, recalling word lists, solving problems, mental status examination, life history interview. She was thorough, professional, probing, exactly what I needed. Her report arrived via encrypted email. Mr. Hubert demonstrates full cognitive capacity, intact memory, logical reasoning, and appropriate judgment. He shows no signs of dementia, delirium, or any condition that would impair his ability to make legal or financial decisions. His concerns about family members appear reality-based, not delusional. The document was detailed, certified, unassailable. I filed copies with Susan, Michael, and my secure vault. Meanwhile, Michael intensified surveillance on Jason and Klein. 4 days after my final session with Dr. Grant, Michael called again. They are meeting tomorrow. Cafe on the edge of town. Shopping center location. Jason thinks it is private. We coordinated carefully. Michael positioned himself inside the cafe with his portable computer and a case containing professional directional audio equipment. Illinois is a 2-party consent state, but since it was public, and I authorized, it was manageable. I parked outside with clear view through the window. Jason arrived first, chose a booth in the rear. Klein came 10 minutes later. Receding hair, wrinkled attire. The appearance of someone whose principles had been marketable long enough to show deterioration. They ordered beverages. Then Jason slid an envelope across the table. Through the pane, I photographed the exchange. Klein checked inside discreetly but obviously, then pocketed it. Currency payment, no trace. Michael's equipment captured everything. I need this evaluation to show he cannot make decisions. Severe cognitive decline. I can document mental deterioration. Recall impairment, inability to manage finances. How much? $6,000 for the evaluation. Written report, and court testimony if needed. And you can make it convincing. I have done hundreds of these assessments. I know exactly what courts look for. The conversation continued. Jason mentioned filing for emergency mental hold. Klein advised on triggering involuntary evaluation. They discussed tactics for guardianship proceedings. Every word was recorded, time-stamped, backed up to cloud storage before they finished their drinks. I had them. That afternoon, I invited Linda Johnson over. She came hesitantly, clearly uncomfortable. I prepared coffee, steady hands, coherent conversation, and showed her doctor Grant's evaluation report. Linda, I want you to know I am of sound mind. What Lauren and Jason are telling you is not true, and I can prove it. She shifted in her chair. Hubert, I need to tell you something. Lauren came to me last week. She said you have been confused, forgetting things. What did she say specifically? That you wander at night. That you have accused them of trying to hurt you. She seemed very concerned. Linda, do I seem confused to you right now? She paused, studying me. No, you seem perfectly clear. Actually, you seem sharper than usual. That is because I am clear, and I would appreciate if you would document that observation in writing. She emailed me a brief statement that evening. Met with Hubert on June 20th. He appeared lucid, coherent, and mentally sharp. Conversation was logical and appropriate. One more piece of evidence. Susan, Michael, and I met in her conference room to review everything. I sat at the head of the table now, not the side. This was my operation. You have successfully defended against the incompetence attack. Susan said, the question is whether to go on offense with this recording. What are my options? We could report Klein to the licensing board, potentially sue Jason for defamation and conspiracy. Or we keep it in reserve as leverage. Keep it for leverage. I want them to incriminate themselves completely before I use everything I have. Susan drafted a letter delivered by certified mail. Legal notification that Hubert had been evaluated by board-certified psychiatrist and found fully competent. Any attempt to file false claims about mental capacity would be met with legal action, including defamation suits and potential criminal charges for conspiracy to commit fraud. The letter did not mention the recording. That was my advantage, through surveillance. I watched Jason receive it 4 days later. His face darkened as he read. He immediately pulled out his phone, paced the driveway. I could not hear his side of the conversation, but his body language screamed frustration and fear. That night, Lauren and Jason argued. The surveillance system captured it clearly. This letter says they will sue us if we claim he is incompetent. Jason, he knows. How does he know? Calm down. He is guessing. He cannot know about Klein. What if he does? What if he recorded something? He is an elderly man. He does not have the capability for that kind of surveillance. I almost laughed. An elderly man. They still underestimated me. The next morning, I called Susan and Michael to my house. We sat in my office, the same room where this had started with Jason's investment pitch months ago. So, we have blocked their attempt to declare me incompetent. What is next? Susan leaned forward. Legally, you have grounds to evict them. They are living in your home without a lease, without paying rent. How fast can we move on that in Illinois? We can file this week. If they refuse to leave or pay rent, we can have them out in 90 days, Michael added. And their financial situation means they cannot afford market rent. I thought about it for exactly 5 seconds. Then we file, no more living in my house while plotting against me. Susan pulled out the paperwork. Demand for rent or possession. Market rate $3,200 per month. Due within 15 days or face eviction proceedings. I signed the document. Susan filed it that afternoon. The counterattack was complete. Now came the siege. Cook County Circuit Court felt appropriately impersonal. Neutral walls, bright lights, the mechanical efficiency of law without emotion. I sat beside Susan Reynolds at the plaintiff's table. Across the aisle, Lauren and Jason sat with their attorney, Megan Klein, who looked like she already knew she would lose. Judge Elena Vargas entered. We stood, She reviewed the case file with methodical precision. Susan presented our evidence: property deed showing sole ownership, documentation that Lauren and Jason had no written lease, certified mail receipt showing they received demand for market rate rent, their refusal to pay or vacate. Megan Klein tried her defense. Your Honor, this is a family dispute disguised as a landlord-tenant issue. Mr. Hubert is retaliating against his daughter for personal reasons. Judge Vargas did not look up from the documents. Does Mr. Hubert own this property free and clear? Yes, Your Honor. I confirmed, paid in full 25 years ago. And Miss Thompson and Mr. Thompson reside there without lease or rental agreement. Correct. They have lived there 3 years without paying anything. Do your clients have a written lease? Judge Vargas asked Megan directly. No, Your Honor. But has Mr. Hubert accepted rent payments in the past? No. But this appears to be. Then he is entitled to demand rent now. Illinois property code is clear. Judge Vargas signed the order with decisive strokes. 45 days to either pay market rate rent of $3,200 per month plus $3,200 deposit or vacate the property. Failure to comply will result in sheriff-enforced eviction. The ruling took 12 minutes. Lauren started crying. Jason's fist clenched white on the table. Outside the courthouse, Jason intercepted us on the steps. Susan moved between us. But I stopped, turned to face him deliberately. You are really going to throw your own daughter out on the street? You tried to throw me in a grave. The street is generous by comparison. I will tell everyone what kind of father you are. Tell anyone who listens. I have documentation of what kind of daughter I have. Back in Susan's office, Michael joined us. He spread financial intelligence reports across the conference table. Every creditor Jason owed money to. They all think Jason has assets. Michael explained. Your house as collateral. Inheritance expectations. What if they knew the truth? I authorized the information campaign immediately. Over the next 10 days, beige envelopes arrived at lending institutions across Illinois. Inside each, copies of the new will showing Lauren's disinheritance, the eviction court order, public records documenting Jason's total debt load, clear evidence he had no actual claim to my estate. Facts only, no threats. Let the creditors draw their own conclusions. David Rossi, the private lender owed $41,000, was first to react. Through surveillance, I watched Jason take the call. His face went from confident to pale in 40 seconds. Jason, we need to talk about your loan. I am good for it. You know I am good for it. Really, because I just learned you are being evicted and your inheritance is gone. What exactly are you good for? That is a misunderstanding. My father-in-law is just. I do not care about family drama. I care about my $41,000. You have 2 weeks. Jason tried everything. Personal loans rejected. Other private lenders. They had heard about his situation. Loans in Lauren's name. Her credit was equally ruined. He even researched bankruptcy, but that would discharge debts while leaving them homeless. Anyway, the financial pressure crushed them both, but Lauren broke first. She came to my office on a Friday afternoon when Jason was out, knocked timidly. When I opened the door, she could not make eye contact. Dad, please. We have nowhere to go. We cannot afford rent anywhere. If you evict us, we will be living in our car. I kept my voice level. You tried to kill me. Why would I care where you live? I was desperate. We owe so much money. Her voice cracked. It was Jason's idea. He said you were going to die soon anyway, that we were just accelerating the inevitable. I did not want to do it. But we are so far in debt. And she stopped, realizing what she had said. My phone was recording in my pocket. Two-party consent. But since it was my home, it was fine. Thank you for that admission, I said quietly. Her face drained of all color. Are you recording this? Yes. You just confessed to attempted murder. Through surveillance that evening, I watched Jason's reaction when Lauren told him. He exploded. Not at me, but at her. You admitted it. You actually told him it was us. I did not mean to. He was asking questions and You confessed. You actually confessed to attempted murder. Their relationship was disintegrating under pressure. They barely spoke after that. Jason was on his phone constantly. Lauren packed and unpacked boxes in cycles of indecision. On day 35 of the 45-day deadline, Susan sent the final notice. You have 7 days to comply with court order or face sheriff-enforced eviction. Jason tried one last threat. He approached me in the kitchen, my kitchen in my house. If you go through with this eviction, I will claim elder abuse. I will tell authorities you are being neglectful, that you need oversight. I almost smiled. I have a psychiatric evaluation proving my competence. I have surveillance footage showing your abuse of me. And now I have a recording of Lauren admitting you poisoned me. Please make those claims. Give me a reason to send everything to the district attorney. His face went slack. He finally understood how thoroughly outmaneuvered he was. 7 days, I said. Leave voluntarily, and I consider not pressing criminal charges. Force the sheriff to drag you out, and I send every piece of evidence I have to the police and prosecutors. The choice is yours. Day 44. I watched from my bedroom window as Jason loaded his vehicle. He slammed boxes, threw belongings carelessly. Lauren cried as she carried items to her car. Neighbors watched from their yards. The spectacle was impossible to hide. I felt no triumph, just cold satisfaction. They were being purged, but I was not done. The eviction solved one problem. Criminal charges would solve the rest. I picked up my phone, dialed Michael Turner. Send everything we have to the district attorney's office. Medical records, surveillance footage, recordings, everything. It is time to finish this. 3 weeks after they left, I walked into the Cook County State's Attorney's office with Susan Reynolds and Michael Turner. We carried 4 boxes of organized evidence. Rachel Stevens' office smelled like coffee and old case files. She was 45, sharp-eyed with a reputation for prosecuting elder abuse cases. She gestured to her conference table. Show me what you have. Michael arranged folders methodically. Medical evidence, surveillance evidence, financial evidence, conspiracy evidence, confession evidence. Each tab labeled, each document indexed. Rachel opened the medical folder first. Toxicology reports, hospital records, Dr. Anderson's assessment. She read slowly, professionally, but I saw her eyebrows rise. This is extremely comprehensive for a civilian investigation. Almost too comprehensive. Is that a problem? I asked. It could be, if anything was obtained illegally. She looked at Michael. Walk me through your methods. Michael had anticipated this. Consent recordings legal in Illinois under circumstances. Surveillance cameras in Mr. Hubert's own home and common areas. Legal financial records obtained through authorized investigation with proper documentation. Legal everything was gathered by the book. Rachel spent 30 minutes questioning the legality of each piece. Michael answered every challenge. Finally, she nodded. All right, let us look at the medical evidence. She read Dr. Anderson's report aloud. Benzodiazepine concentration, 4 times therapeutic levels combined with diphenhydramine at toxic doses. This combination in a 62-year-old male with hypertension could reasonably be expected to cause death. She looked up at me. This is not attempted poisoning. This is attempted murder. That is what Dr. Anderson told me in the hospital. She moved to the surveillance evidence, video clips, audio recordings. She watched Lauren serving me coffee, her nervous movements afterward. She listened to fragments of conversations. If he knows, too late now. Then Lauren's recorded confession. Rachel played it twice. It was Jason's idea. He said you were going to die soon anyway. We needed the money. I did not want to. But we are so far in debt. Rachel paused the playback. This is admissible. This is damning. And this is enough for arrest warrants. She called in Detective Sarah Ramirez from Chicago PD. Sarah was 41, methodical with the tired eyes of someone who had seen too many family violence cases. Rachel briefed her. Elder abuse, attempted murder, conspiracy. The victim did half our work for us. Sarah interviewed me for 3 hours, taking detailed notes. She asked the same questions multiple ways, testing consistency. My answers never changed because they were true. Subject extremely credible. She wrote, timeline consistent. Evidence supports narrative. 4 days later, Sarah and Rachel sat in Judge Daniel Foster's chambers with warrant applications. I was not present, but Susan told me later. Judge Foster reviewed everything, asked few questions. Signed, these are solid. Execute them. Sarah assembled her team. Michael had tracked Lauren and Jason to a low-cost motel on Interstate 90, paying weekly in cash. Living out of their cars, Sarah planned an early morning arrest when suspects are least likely to flee. She called me at 7 a.m. on the day of the raid. Mr. Hubert, stay home. I will notify you when it is done. I waited, drank coffee, watched the clock. At 10:30, my phone rang. Mr. Hubert, I wanted to inform you personally. Lauren Thompson and Jason Thompson have been arrested and charged with attempted murder and conspiracy. They are in custody at Cook County Jail. I thanked her, hung up, sat in my quiet house. No celebration, just the exhale of breath I had been holding for months. The bail hearing was next morning. Susan drove me downtown. I sat in the gallery, invisible to them, but present. Judge Laura Mendoza presided. Lauren and Jason were brought in separately, both in orange jumpsuits. Lauren had lost weight, looked hollow. Jason stood rigid, defiant. Rachel Stevens argued flight risk. Mr. Thompson was researching one-way flights out of state. They have no community ties, no employment, and face life sentences. The public defenders did their best. Community roots, no prior criminal history. Lauren's relationship to me, Judge Mendoza was unmoved. Bail is set at $600,000 each. Neither could afford even the 15% for a bondsman. They were returned to jail, separate sections, no contact. The local news picked up the story that evening. Daughter arrested for attempted murder of father in inheritance plot. My name was withheld as the victim, but their mugshots were public record. Linda Johnson called. Hubert, if you need anything, testimony, support, anything, I am here. Thank you. Linda, that means more than you know. That night, I stood in my kitchen, the kitchen where Lauren served the poisoned coffee. I had repainted it since they left. Different color, clean slate, my phone buzzed. Text from Susan. Preliminary hearing next week. They will likely waive it and go straight to trial. Are you ready? I typed back. I have been ready since I woke up in that hospital. I sent it, set down the phone. The wheels of justice were finally turning, and I was not their victim anymore. I was their prosecutor's star witness. Mid-September warmth pressed down on Chicago like a burden. I stood outside courtroom 4B at Cook County Criminal Courthouse, dressed in a conservative blue suit. Susan had helped me choose. Looking credible, she had said. Looking stable. Through the door, I heard the murmur of jury selection. 14 citizens who would decide my daughter's fate. Rachel Stevens found me in the hallway. Mr. Hubert, you will be called this afternoon. Remember what we practiced. Clear, factual, no emotion. Let the evidence speak. I nodded. I had rehearsed my testimony for months. Opening statements began at 11 a.m. I sat in the gallery watching. Rachel stood before the jury. 8 women, 6 men, ages ranging from mid-30s to late 60s. Educators, technicians, store employees, pensioners, ordinary people about to hear an extraordinary story. This is a case about avarice, urgency, and disloyalty. The evidence will show that Lauren Thompson and Jason Thompson attempted to murder Hubert, Lauren's 62-year-old father, by poisoning him with a lethal combination of medications. Why for inheritance? For money. For a $900,000 house they wanted immediately, rather than waiting for nature to take its course. She walked toward the jury box, made eye contact with each person. Hubert trusted his daughter. He let her live in his home. He supported her financially, and she repaid that trust by putting poison in his morning coffee. At the defense table, Lauren was crying. Jason sat expressionless, taking notes. David Hayes, Lauren's public defender, took a softer approach. My client made terrible mistakes born of desperation and manipulation. She was under crushing financial pressure and the controlling influence of Jason Thompson, but attempted murder. The evidence will show a tragic accident, not intent to kill. Maria Vasquez, Jason's attorney, went aggressive. Jason Thompson is innocent. The evidence will show that Lauren Thompson acted alone and has tried to implicate my client to deflect her own guilt. They were already turning on each other. Dr. James Anderson testified first. He explained the toxicology with clinical precision. Benzodiazepine levels 4 times therapeutic dose. Antihistamines at toxic levels, in my professional opinion. This combination in a man of Mr. Hubert's age and health status would likely cause death. The victim survived due to prompt emergency response. Hayes tried to create doubt on cross-examination. Could these medications have been accidentally combined? The specific combination and dosage make accident extremely unlikely. This required knowledge and intent. They could not shake him. Detective Sarah Ramirez walked the jury through the investigation. Photographs of medication bottles from the motel. Computer screenshots. Lethal dose benzodiazepines elderly. How long for poisoning to kill? Illinois inheritance laws. Several jurors leaned forward. Engaged. Michael Turner testified about surveillance. Defense objected to admissibility. Judge Stevens ruled immediately. Cameras installed in Mr. Hubert's own home. Common areas only are legal in Illinois. Objection overruled. Then they played the footage. Jason and Lauren in my kitchen whispering. If he knows. Too late now. Lauren stared at the defense table crying. Jason's jaw clenched. Linda Johnson testified about hearing violent arguments about Lauren later claiming I was losing my mind, contrasting with Linda's observations of my clear competence. Then Lauren's recorded confession. The courtroom fell completely silent. It was Jason's idea. He said you were going to die soon anyway. We needed the money. I did not want to. But we are so far in debt. Her voice filled the courtroom. Desperate, guilty, damning, at the defense table. Jason shot Lauren a look of pure fury. My turn came after lunch. I took the stand, raised my right hand, swore to tell the truth. Rachel walked me through it. The argument. The next morning, the coffee. Lauren insisted I drink it. Within 30 minutes, I could not stand. The room was spinning. I managed to call 911 before I lost consciousness. Hayes cross-examined, trying sympathy. Mr. Hubert, do you love your daughter? I did very much. Do you love her now? I love the daughter I thought I had. But the person who poisoned me, I do not know who that is. He tried to suggest vindictiveness, changing the will, eviction. I changed my will after discovering she tried to poison me. That is not punishment. That is protection. Vasquez was more aggressive. Is it not true you hired an investigator to spy on my client? I hired security after someone tried to kill me. That is not spying. That is survival. I did not break. Did not take the bait, against her attorney's advice. Lauren testified. She cried, apologized, claimed she never meant real harm. I love my father. I would never want him dead. Yes, I made the coffee, but I only put in sleeping pills. Rachel destroyed her on cross. Sleeping pills, but your internet searches included lethal dosages and combinations that cause death. Explain that. I was just curious. I did not mean... You were curious about lethal combinations the day before you served your father coffee that nearly killed him. No answer. Jason denied everything, claimed Lauren acted alone. Rachel played the recording of him discussing fake psychiatric reports with Dr. Klein. The jury looked skeptical. Closing arguments were powerful. Rachel was relentless. They tried to murder a 62-year-old man for money. They failed only because Hubert was strong enough to call 911. They showed no remorse until caught. This is not a family tragedy. This is attempted murder for financial gain. The jury deliberated 9 hours. I waited. Did not leave the courthouse. Susan sat with me quietly. Finally, verdict reached. We returned to the courtroom. Everyone stood. Will the defendants please rise? They stood. Lauren trembling. Jason rigid. The foreman was a 56-year-old technician. His hands shook slightly. In the matter of State of Illinois versus Lauren Thompson. Count 1. Attempted murder. We find the defendant guilty. Lauren collapsed. Her attorney steadied her. Count 2. Conspiracy to commit murder. We find the defendant guilty. Same verdicts for Jason. He stood motionless, face blank. Judge Stevens thanked the jury, set sentencing for 3 weeks. Bailiffs took them away. Lauren looked back at me, mouthed, I am sorry. I met her eyes, nodded once. Acknowledgement, not forgiveness. Outside courthouse steps, Susan asked. How do you feel? I considered, like I can breathe again. Sentencing in 3 weeks. But the verdict was what mattered. Guilty. Both of them. Guilty. 3 weeks later, I returned to courtroom 4B for sentencing. The same wood paneling, the same Illinois state seal. But everything felt different. The uncertainty was gone. The jury had spoken. Now came the accounting. Bailiffs brought Lauren and Jason in separately. Orange jumpsuits, handcuffs, ankle chains that made metallic sounds against the floor. Lauren had lost weight, looked a decade older than her 38 years. Jason stood rigid, jaw set, refusing to show weakness. Judge Stevens reviewed the case briefly. We are here for sentencing in the matter of State of Illinois versus Lauren Thompson and Jason Thompson, both found guilty by jury of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Probation officer Lisa Chen presented her reports first. Lauren, no prior criminal record, demonstrates remorse, participates in jail counseling. Jason, Minimal remorse. Continues claiming innocence. Pattern of financial irresponsibility. Her recommendations were clear. Mid-range sentence for Lauren. Upper range for Jason. Rachel Stevens stood to argue for the state. Your Honor, this was premeditated attempted murder of an elderly man by his own daughter and son-in-law for financial gain. They researched lethal dosages, administered poison, showed no remorse until caught. The state recommends 18 years for Lauren Thompson and 21 years for Jason Thompson. David Hayes pleaded for Lauren. No criminal history, crushing financial pressure. Jason's manipulative influence. She has already lost her father, her freedom, her future. Maria Vasquez had less to work with for Jason. She argued financial stress, claimed he was Lauren's accomplice rather than leader. The recordings proved otherwise. Her argument was weak, and she knew it. Then, Judge Stevens invited me to speak. I walked to the podium. I had written a statement, but did not use it. The words came without script. Your Honor, on that morning, when I drank the coffee my daughter made, I trusted her. Parents trust their children. That trust was my vulnerability. They exploited it not just to steal from me, but to end my life. I gripped the podium edges, not from nervousness, but to ground myself. I survived by chance and quick action. They showed no remorse until they were caught. They tried to destroy my credibility, attempted to have me declared insane. This was not a moment of weakness. This was calculated, planned, executed. I paused, met the judge's eyes. I do not ask for revenge. I ask for justice proportional to what they attempted. My life. Lauren was given opportunity to speak. She stood trembling, tears streaming. Your Honor, I am so sorry. I am sorry to my father, to this court, to everyone I have hurt. I was desperate. I was stupid. I was wrong. I do not expect forgiveness. I just want my father to know I loved him. And I destroyed that love through my own actions. Jason's turn. His attorney had begged him to show remorse. He did not. Your Honor, I maintain I had no knowledge of any poisoning. I have been convicted based on circumstantial evidence and my wife's false testimony. Judge Stevens's expression hardened. Jason had just made his situation worse. The judge took his time, reviewing documents in silence. Then he looked at both defendants. I have considered everything presented. This was a premeditated attempt to murder a vulnerable elderly man for financial gain. The violation of familial trust makes this particularly heinous. He turned to Lauren first. Lauren Thompson, you are hereby sentenced to 10 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, with eligibility for parole after serving half your sentence. You are further ordered to pay restitution to Hubert in the amount of $150,000. Lauren collapsed. Her attorney steadied her. Jason Thompson, you were the architect of this conspiracy. Your lack of remorse demonstrates you pose a significant danger. You are sentenced to 18 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, with eligibility for parole after serving 2/3 of your sentence. You are ordered to pay restitution to Hubert in the amount of $150,000. The gavel fell. Final. Irreversible. Defendants remanded to custody pending transfer to state facility. This court is adjourned. Bailiffs approached. Lauren looked back at me one last time. Mouthed, I am sorry. I met her eyes. Nodded once. Acknowledgement. Not forgiveness. Jason stared straight ahead as they led him away. In the courthouse hallway, Rachel Stevens shook my hand. Justice was served today. Mr. Hubert, I hope this brings you some peace. It brings closure. That is more valuable than peace. Susan drove me home. We did not talk much. Words were not necessary. First thing I did when I arrived home, changed every lock in the house. Front door, back door, side entrance, garage, new keys, new mechanisms, physical act of reclaiming my space. Each lock I installed felt like sealing off the past. That afternoon, movers arrived, creditors exercising their rights to Lauren and Jason's belongings. I watched from my window as strangers carried out furniture, electronics, boxes, payment for debts that would never be fully satisfied. After they left, I walked through the empty rooms. In Lauren's former bedroom, I found one item they had missed. A photograph. Lauren at age 8. Gapped smile holding a holiday card. To Daddy, I love you. I stared at it for a long time. That little girl was gone. The woman who poisoned me had replaced her. But this photograph was from before. I did not throw it away. I placed it in a drawer in my office. Not displayed, but preserved. A memory of who she was before she became who she is. That evening, I sat in my living room. The house was quieter than before, but it was peaceful quiet. I made dinner, ate at the table, watched the news. Normal activities, but they felt different now. Lighter, free. 1 week later, I sat on my back porch with morning coffee. The mail carrier arrived. Among the bills was an envelope from the Illinois Department of Corrections, Valley State Prison, Lauren's facility. I recognized her handwriting. My first thought was not to open it. My second thought was that avoiding it gave her power. I opened it. 4 pages, black ink, tear stains visible on the paper. She wrote about prison, the routine, the boredom, the fear. She wrote about regret, specific memories from her childhood, times I was there for her. She wrote about understanding now what desperation made her do. She asked if I could ever forgive her, if I would ever visit, if there was any possibility of redemption. She ended. I do not expect you to respond. I do not deserve it. But I needed you to know that I finally understand what I did to you. I am sorry, Dad. I am so sorry. I read it twice. I did not feel anger. I felt recognition. She was genuinely suffering consequences and genuinely remorseful. I folded the letter, placed it on the table. Later that day, I met Susan for lunch. Downtown restaurant, quiet booth. I showed her the letter. What do you want to do? She asked. I do not know. Part of me wants to forgive her. Part of me never can. Those are not mutually exclusive. You can acknowledge her remorse without forgiving the act. You can have compassion for her suffering without forgetting she caused it. We talked about the house. I had been considering selling it. Too many memories. Every room has echoes. Where would you go somewhere smaller? I do not need 4,000 square feet anymore. That afternoon, I drove to the Midwest Veterans Assistance Organization office. Small building, modest furnishings, walls covered with thank you letters from veterans. Laura Martinez, the director, greeted me warmly. I do not want to wait until I am gone. I told her, I want to start now. I propose selling my house and donating a substantial portion to the organization. I want to fund a specific program supporting victims of elder abuse and family violence. People like me who survive but need resources to rebuild. Laura was moved. Mr. Hubert. We could create a named fund, help dozens of families. The next day, Realtor John Bradford walked through my house with me. We discussed market value, timeline for sale. This is a beautiful property, he said. It was beautiful. It can be again for someone else. He showed me 4 condos. The 4th felt right. 1,500 square feet, 12th floor view of downtown Chicago. Manageable, secure, no yard work, no memories. This one, make an offer. That evening, I sat at my desk with Lauren's letter. I pulled out stationery, wrote a response. 2 pages. Lauren, I received your letter. I believe your remorse is genuine. I also believe the damage you did cannot be undone. I am not ready to visit. I may never be ready. But I acknowledge you are serving your time and facing consequences. I hope you use these 10 years to become someone better than the person who poisoned my coffee. That is all I can offer right now. Hubert. I sealed it, addressed it to Valley State Prison. Over the next few days, I decluttered methodically, donations to charity, discarding items with bad associations, carefully packing what I wanted to keep. While packing my office, I found Lauren's childhood photo again. I looked at it for a long time. That 8-year-old with the gapped smile. I carefully framed it, packed it with important documents, not to display, but to keep. That little girl existed. She was real and loving. What happened later does not erase what came before. Linda Johnson invited me to a neighborhood dinner. I almost declined, but I accepted. The evening was surprisingly pleasant. Neighbors were kind, treated me normally. I realized I had been so focused on justice that I forgot about life. This is what moving forward looks like. Small connections, normal interactions, rebuilding routine. 3 weeks after Lauren's letter arrived, Laura Martinez called. Hubert. The board approved the fund. We are calling it the Hubert Elder Justice Fund. Your donation will help abuse victims with legal support, housing assistance, counseling services. I felt something I had not felt in months. Purpose. Not revenge purpose, but constructive purpose. Late October evening, I sat on my back porch one last time as owner of this house. October 25th. The sale was pending. The condo purchase in process. The organization donation being structured. I had mailed my response to Lauren. Brief, honest, without false promises. I had made my peace with what happened. Not forgiveness exactly, but acceptance. They tried to kill me. I survived. They faced justice. I reclaimed my life. I thought about the past 10 months. The poisoning, the investigation, the trial, the justice, the aftermath. Lauren in prison, Jason in prison, my house being sold, my new condo, my charitable work ahead. I did not feel happy. Happiness seemed too simple. I felt settled, complete. The coffee cup in my hand was almost empty. Coffee I made without fear. I stood, walked inside, washed the cup, turned off the lights. Tomorrow I would meet with movers. Tomorrow I would start packing for the new place. Tomorrow I would take another step forward. But tonight, I simply existed, a survivor, not a victim, not an avenger, just a man who refused to let attempted murder define the rest of his life. I closed the back door, locked it with my new key, and headed to bed. The house was quiet. The future was uncertain, but it was my future, and that was enough. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left.